Have you ever wondered if love could defy time itself? If a connection could be so strong it breaks the very laws of physics? Today, we're diving into a story that asks just that. This is the Time Traveler's Promise. Our story begins with Dr. Arian Vance, a brilliant but reclusive physicist. Driven by the echoes of a lonely childhood, he poured his genius not into fame or fortune, but into a singular, audacious goal to conquer time. In the sterile hum of his basement laboratory, surrounded by flickering monitors and a chaotic web of wires, he built it. A device, sleek in chrome, that pulsed with a low, ethereal energy. He called it the Chronos Key. His first jump was accidental. A power surge, a blinding flash of light, and the sterile scent of his lab was replaced by the smell of damp earth, coal smoke, and horses. He had landed in London, 1888. The city was a chaotic symphony of horse-drawn carriages, gas lamps casting a ghostly glow on the cobblestone streets, and people in fashions he'd only seen in history books. Disoriented and panicked, he stumbled through the unfamiliar streets, his modern clothes drawing more than a few curious stares. It was in a small, unassuming bakery, tucked away in a narrow alley, that he first saw her, Ilara. She was handing a warm loaf of bread to a street urchin, her smile radiating a warmth that seemed to cut through the city's gloomy fog. There was a light in her eyes, a kindness and strength that captivated him instantly. Arian, a man who understood complex equations better than human emotion, felt a pull he couldn't explain. He found himself returning to that bakery day after day, under the guise of buying bread he didn't need, just to catch a glimpse of her smile and exchange a few words. He learned her story in fragments. She was an aspiring writer, her dreams as vast as the sky, but constrained by the rigid expectations of her era. She spoke of changing the world, not with science, but with stories, with empathy. And Arian, the man from the future, found himself utterly enchanted by this woman of the past. He began to make more accidental jumps, each visit a carefully calculated risk. Their friendship blossomed into a deep, unspoken love. They would walk along the Thames, her hand tucked in his arm, and he would tell her stories of a future she could barely imagine, of flying machines, pocket-sized communicators, and a world where a woman could be anything she wanted to be. But every trip came with a cost. With each visit, Arian noticed small, unsettling changes. A street name would be different. A historical event he knew would be slightly altered. He was creating ripples, and those ripples were becoming waves. His presence was unraveling the very fabric of history. The paradoxes were piling up, creating dangerous instabilities in the timeline. One day, he returned to find the bakery boarded up. A newspaper article, dated a week prior, detailed a tragic fire. Ilara's name was among the list of victims. Horror washed over him. He realized his temporal intrusions, his selfish desire to be with her, had somehow caused this. Desperate, he jumped back again, determined to prevent the fire. He succeeded, but his victory was short-lived. The timeline, like a cornered animal, fought back. In this new reality, Ilara didn't die in a fire. Instead, she fell victim to a sudden, aggressive illness that doctors of the era had no cure for. He jumped again, bringing back advanced medical knowledge from his time. He saved her from the illness, only to return and find she had been the victim of a carriage accident. It was a cruel cosmic joke. Every attempt to save her only led to a different, equally tragic fate. History was demanding a price for his interference, and that price was always Ilara. Arian was trapped in a horrifying loop, a god playing a game he could never win. The strain was immense. His body grew weaker with each jump, the temporal radiation taking its toll. He realized the timeline was trying to correct itself by erasing the anomaly, her connection to him. To the universe, she was a variable that needed to be zeroed out. He was faced with a choice that would tear his soul apart. he could return to his own time, to the future, and leave her to her original fate. He could stabilize the timeline, save history, but he would have to live with the knowledge that he was letting the love of his life perish. The thought was a physical pain, a blade twisting in his gut. Or he could make one final jump, go back to her, destroy the Chronos key, and stay in the 1800s forever. This would anchor him in her time, making him a permanent part of her history rather than an intruder. It would mean giving up everything he had ever known, his work, his friends, his entire world. It was the ultimate sacrifice. He would be marooned in the past, a man out of time with no way back. Looking at the humming Chronos key one last time, Arian thought of Alara's smile, the feel of her hand in his, the dreams in her eyes. He thought of a future without her, sterile and empty, and a past with her, full of life and love, no matter the hardship. The choice, as agonizing as it was, became clear. He calibrated the machine for its final journey. He appeared in the familiar alleyway, the smell of fresh bread filling the air. Elara was there, her face lighting up as she saw him. "You came back," she whispered, her voice full of relief. He took her hands, his own trembling slightly. "I'm not leaving again," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm home." That night, under the soft glow of a gas lamp, he took a sledgehammer to the complex, beautiful machine that had brought him to her. With every strike, he was shattering his past, his future, his entire identity, all for the promise of a lifetime with her. Dr. Arian Vance, the brilliant scientist, disappeared from the 21st century. But in the 1800s, a man named Arian lived a full, happy life with a brilliant writer named Elara. He never spoke of where it came from, and she never asked. She knew all she needed to know from the look in his eyes. He had crossed centuries for her. His love was his final, most profound invention. It was a love that proved that sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't in the future we're racing toward, but in the moments we'd give up everything to hold on to forever. What would you do? Would you give up your entire world for a chance at true love? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This story really makes you think about fate, choice, and the sacrifices we're willing to make for the people we love. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you do not miss our next tale. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep wondering.